Hello, Rhoda here. Welcome to my craft room. Today we're working on another piece for my Poe journal. It's going to be sort of a folded journal card. I don't know if you would consider it a double journal card. It could be, but I'm not going to really have that much room to write in it. It's more for decoration. And so I picked out the backdrops, the Halloween. This one is TH94251. And I've picked out this one because it's sort of a funeral announcement, an announcement of some kind for a person's death. So I really like it. It's tall, though. It's 10 inches tall. So we're going to have to cut it down. And then I've got this piece of speckled paper that I dyed a while back. And I just needed something sort of neutral, but with some interest to have as an item to stamp on. So let's go ahead. We're going to use more of our people. And I got the idea the other day. I was going to make this a tombstone, like just take a gray piece of paper and make a tombstone out of it. And then I saw this and I thought, well, let me just go with that. I really like that. But we're taking 3 of our men that's in here. Probably this guy, because he looks like he could be a funeral, a priest, maybe. Maybe priest is my word. Or a funeral director. Okay, he's going to be the funeral director. Then I'm going to have this guy as probably the priest. He looks scared of life, but otherwise. Then this guy that doesn't look happy at all, I think will be the gravedigger. Or I've thought about this guy being the gravedigger. He's already dirty looking, so maybe that's what we'll do. Alright, so 3 of these guys are going to be used. And then we're going to have 2 stamp sets I'm going to go to. Because, like, this one's got Undertaker. So it'll be for the guy that's going to bury him. That's going to make the coffin. Then there's one that's going to be for the casket. As I've got one that says Casket Company up here. Now, the Gravedigger one, I don't really have anything that says Gravedigger or anything like this. But I've got sort of this one. It's got coffins and caskets on it. And then I've got furnishing undertakers and embalmers kind of thing. So I just kind of wanted to have something over to the side. Oh, so or maybe I'll use the condemned. It could be I just use that. I don't know. All right, so let me take my guillotine cutter and I'm going to cut this down to like right above this line here, I think. Because I think that measures to be about 8.5. 8.25 to 8.5. So that's where we're going to cut it. And this piece can be used for something else later on. Right here. I mean, the reason I didn't use the back of this, I like that tone, but it's about an electrician. And I needed to put my people stickers on top of it and to stamp on it. So I didn't think that would work. Alright, so then what I need to do is go ahead and score this through the center. I'm thinking I may need to actually cover it first, though. So I'll probably cover it. And, yeah. And then I'll cut around it and get all that excess off of it. And then we can stamp on it from there. I'm thinking it's going to be wide enough. I'll probably have the pictures on one side and the title or whatever on the other. And then I think I'll score it. Okay, yeah. That would be the best way to do it. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and use a little bit of glue stick and also some of my Bearly Arts glue. I'm going to go ahead and use this through the center because I'm going to be putting on a really thin piece of paper. It's just copy paper that I had dyed at one point. I'm not sure where, if it was in the basement, out in the yard, probably out in the yard because I really sling the water and leftover dye when I'm out there. I go to town. Well, while I am working on this, I'm going to tell you a little story. Now, I've told you these before. When I was in genealogy, and it was in the early days, back in the 90s, we had like they called it a surname. What did they call it? Like a surname request for your email. So, I chose Markham. Of course, that's my maiden name. So what happened was these people would post things. I'm trying to figure out which way is the outside. I think this is the outside piece. And it would share to everybody that was on this surname. I don't even know what to call it. It's a surname list. Is the best way I can describe it. So anyhow, somebody had posted something about life in the 1500s, and it had to do, and I don't know what they call them, but they're like sayings, these phrases where everything came from. And I just loved it. I have to find the name for that. I don't know what it is. But they had something in there about people would usually drink their whiskey and their rye and mead and all that kind of things that they drank in lead cups. That's what they usually would use. Well, what happened in that case, you know how lead is. We found out how lead actually reacts to the human body here in this century. So what happened was these people would be drinking, and then all of a sudden they may be stumbling home or something, and they would fall in a ditch and just pass out. And these people would be passed out for like days, 2 to 3 days in some cases. And they're so still and not moving, hardly breathing, to the point that they thought they were dead. These people were thought to be dead. So what they would do is they would take them and they would lay them out in like the front room or the living room, whatever was the nicest room in the house. And they would take them and dress them up, like they may have, been passed away and getting ready to bury them, but they left them there. And they would eat and drink, and people would come in and go out and maybe come to see the person and that kind of thing. And it was called, and that was to see if they would wake up. So that's where the phrase holding a wake came from. I just love those kind of things. Now I'm going to go and score this down the center. All right, I'm going to take some ground espresso. And I did score it. It's just kind of light right now. I may go back over it. And I also have a little bit up here at the top that didn't get covered. So I'm going to just go ahead and trim that off. Get it out of the way. This is going to be a very skinny journal card. It could be used as a bookmark. It was 6 inches wide. Now it'll be 3 once it's folded. So it really wouldn't have worked if I wanted it to be a tombstone. I don't think that was going to work. So this is like a better idea. I want to thank everybody for coming to visit, for coming to see what I had to do today. And I told you I was going to try to use these guys because I'd been using the girls for the last 2 projects that I did. And everybody seems to enjoy seeing me use these people. They're just the oddest looking people with the most horrible expressions on their face. It's funny. So anyhow, we're going to go ahead and ink up the outside edges here. Maybe do a little bit more on the actual paper throughout here, just to give it, some color and some character. Want it to look good and aged, like it might be a little pamphlet or something you got it from the funeral home. Who knows? But yeah, I recall one of my places I went. I used to go to a reunion with this other girl that I did genealogy with, and so we went to Pikeville, Kentucky. Of course, you might know Pikeville because it's the home of the McCoys. if you've ever heard of the Hatfield-McCoy feud, Pikeville is where the McCoys were located. And right up above Pikeville, up on top of this hill, kind of a rise, is where the McCoys are buried. Rosanna, she was the daughter of Randall McCoy, and she was the one that was in love with that Jonesy and had a daughter, and the little daughter died, and they're both buried up there with the mother and dad. And then the Hatfield part is over into West Virginia, around Sarah Ann. But there's a lot of historical stuff about the Hatfields and McCoys all through those areas. And yeah, it's really, really interesting to hear. And then they did have a show on TV. I think Kevin Costner played Devil Lance. That's the Hatfield ruler or leader. And I know they complained about it not being real true to life, but you know, it's hard to do that, I guess. But what I was getting at is, while I was in Pikeville, we had gone to this one place to eat, and they had all of these interesting pictures of historical places and stuff around the outside of one of the rooms, and we were looking at it, and there was this full life, what would you call it, like an image of a person, a woman, in a cemetery. And she was holding, I think she had her arms up like this, like she was holding a baby. And we asked somebody there about it, and they said that that was one of the founding fathers, leaders of the community. That was his wife. Now, I'm getting into the rest in peace CMS 435 to get these out. And like I said, I don't know if I'm going to be using anything on this one. I may be using the flowers for the Gravedigger one. That might be what I just do. I'll just put the flowers down here at the bottom. And anyhow, so we heard the story about what that was, and it was very interesting. It's kind of like what I just told you about drinking. They would drink out of lead cups, and sometimes off of trenchers, they call them, and they were made out of lead. And that could also leach into your food and give the same results of making you pass out. Well, what one of the descriptions in the 1500s, the life in the 1500s, had was that sometimes, since England was an old country and there wasn't that much room to bury people in, they ended up having to dig people up after so many years and take the bones to a certain house or something on the cemetery grounds. And then they would reuse that grave. And when they'd open the casket, they'd find these scratch marks inside. And they realized they were burying people after they had died. So that's where the wake situation came about. And they also had a few other things to take care of that problem. But I'll tell you about that in a minute. All right, so first we're doing the priest, the Undertaker, and the Gravedigger. So I have to figure out where I wanted to put these things over on the other side. So the Undertaker is going to go in the center here. He is going to go right here. All right, so what we were told about this poor lady was that's what happened to her. She was buried. She had had the baby. The baby had died, and she was very distraught, and she had, postpartum depression, I think they said, things like that. So there was something that happened to her, and she just went to sleep, but they thought she was dead. So they buried her. And I'm still trying to get the goodies over here. So they buried her, and they didn't, and the baby was still alive. That's how the story went. All right. She must have drank or ate off of one of these lead cups, lead trenchers, and she went into a coma or whatever they do when they have that situation happen. Then they buried her, not realizing she was just, kind of out for a few days. So then what happened is they had the baby died. So they wanted to dig her back up, have the baby with her, and then rebury them both in the same grave. And when they did that, oh my goodness, they found all those scratch marks and stuff on inside the casket. Oh, that was horrible. So I don't have anything about the preacher, so I'm just going to use the casket company kind of up here. And I may, stamp a bunch of things in between in here as well. So the husband, he just lost his wife and his little daughter or child. And he didn't realize that's what happened to her until they opened the casket. And what happened when he went to be buried, he went and he dug a tunnel from his casket out to somewhere else where he could actually, it's like he had a trap door, a trick door at the end of his casket, and then the tunnel led out from there. So he really, really planned an escape route for himself if that was to have happened to him, which was very smart for him, and he could afford it and all that. Actually, I think I'm going to pull this other one out with this flower in it and see if, oh, whoops, I dropped something, and get that on here first before I start putting any kind of other things on here. So then the other part of the stories, let's see if I can get this on here. This is pretty big. Maybe like that. Okay, yeah, this will work. So I'm going to do this about like that. And, all right, so over in England, when they started digging people up to reuse the graves and stuff, they also found the same situation. So what they started doing was tying a string around the finger of the newly buried person. And what happened was the string came through the casket, up through the dirt, and then it came up to the top of the ground, and they had a little bell on a stick or a holder up there, and they tied the string to the bell. And so then they had to have somebody in the graveyard to watch at night and listen for these bells. So whoever had that job was called it was the night shift. That's why they have that word for the night shift when somebody works overnight. And then if the bell did go off, that person was considered a dead ringer and they were saved by the bell. Yeah. I don't know if that's where they got the title for that show with the little teenage kids or not. But yeah, I thought all of that was fantastic. I loved it. I was just crazy about how all of those names came about. It's just amazing. Okay. I think that was the only thing I was using on this one. Well, I don't know. I really like this one. It says Casket Company. Or it's not Casket Company. It's Caskets and Coffins. I've got the Furnishing Undertaker one here. I really like it too because it's got different fonts. I may use this since it's bigger. So let's get that on here and use it. But I thought you would enjoy that. Some of you have probably heard me talk about this before because I think I read through a whole bunch of those other sayings too, because there's one about the bath water, and it was like, they only took a bath every so often back in those days. So they had a process of how they would take their bath, and It was the men of the house would do it first. They fill the tub up, completely with hot water and everything first. Then the man gets in. And then the mother gets in. And then all the children going down the line gets in. And then at the end, the baby is the last, since he's the smallest or she's the smallest. And by that time, the water was so dark. The phrase came about, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. I know I've heard that. It's an older saying. And so in case you haven't heard that, that's where that came from. Oh, fun, fun, fun. All right. Do I have room for... I think it's getting kind of on the busier side. And I don't think that there's anything else I want from this one. And I forgot to tell you this one. This one's called Dearly Departed. It's CMS 413. That's the one where I got the eyeball from that day. It's got a really cool florist stamp here that I really like. And then it had the furnishing Undertakers and such. And I don't know. I feel like I want something up here top. That's something about a pharmacist. I've got the thing about condemned. I might use that. I wanted to have something right there. Since this is going all the way down to the bottom, basically, I wanted something to kind of go all the way up to the top. The only thing is, I do not want to get anything but the word condemned. So I have to try to keep my and this is my Versamark Pigment Ink Onyx Black. So I'm going to put this piece of paper right here and hold it right there while I'm stamping, just in case I get over. Ooh, what is going on? Oh, the outside kitties come in. Let me take care of him. Hold on a minute. Before I do, I'm going to go ahead and stamp this down, because it's already on there, and yeah. We'll just do it like that. There we go. Looks good. Looks good. All right. Now, these little stamp-off papers, if you wanted to, you could make them into a background. As you're doing this, if you didn't go every which way like me and just kind of went across and did stuff like that, you can make a cool-looking background with these. And the second and third generation stamping only adds to it. Now, I really like where this was not, and this is not made like this. This is solid. But if you dab at it with a little bit of paper towel or your finger, sometimes you can have these really washed out areas come out on there. All right, let me take care of these cats. Okay, I'm going to see about putting a little bit of scorched timber around the very outside edge, trying to give it a burnt edge look, you know how I like, and really to frame it. Even when I was in school and stuff, I always liked to have something framed. And I really thought it added a good look to what you wanted to bring their eye into. There's different ways to frame something. You could do it with ink. You could do it with some paper. And these people in here seem to have like a black outline around them. But I did wonder about maybe putting them on something to make them stand out a little bit more. So I know we want to have, I think this guy, I'm pretty sure this guy looks the most like a grave digger that I have ever seen. Look at this guy. Whew. He's even got a little dirty face. But they do stand out, but I want them to stand out more. All right, I've been holding on to these pieces, and there's just like a circle that I cut out for the Poe journals, because the first signature and the third signature on the front, I had a hole cut out for you to see Poe in there. So I think that one's another one. I'm trying to find 3 of them that might have the same color background. Here's another small one. Yep, 3 of them Exactly the same. Thank goodness. Yes. And I'm still trying to figure out uses for these. Still have to get this to decide what I want to do with them. They'd make a great little journal card of some type. I could turn them into buttons. At one time I made buttons, and these are already covered on both sides, so I'll figure out something. And what we're going to do is pull our guillotine cutter out again, and we're going to go ahead and get our people on here. And I'm going to put a little bit of glue behind it just so it's going to stick good. Now I got a concern I wanted to ask you about. I had a girl the other day, and I don't recall talking about, a bug in particular. I won't mention it because I know some of you have phobias, so you don't hear me talk about, certain things like, snakes and, yeah. It's certain spiders. I think some people have a thing about spiders, so I try not to ever talk about them that much. And I think when I was mentioning this, it was a while ago. I was talking about a certain movie. I think that's the one. She must have heard me saying that bug on. And that was the only way I could use to describe this bug. So I used it. And she didn't like me talking that much about it. So if you've got something that you would like me not to ever mention or talk about, I guess you could maybe tell me in the comments, and I'll try my best not to ever discuss it. I mean, I guess y'all like what I talk about, right? I mean, I'm just going over mostly crazy stuff in my life with the, genealogy and the going around to the cemeteries and all that kind of good stuff. I usually try to tell you something interesting. I don't have any kids. I don't have any grandkids, so I'm not going to put a bunch of that out there. I have some animals, cats, some fish, but, I'm sure y'all hear about that from all these other people. I'm not going to talk about my health. I might mention it once in a while, but I'm certainly not going to bore you with it. It is what it is, right, everybody? And I'm going to use a few more things, maybe some skulls out of there. So, yeah. I just wanted to see if there was anything that was on your list of no, don't talk about it. I will make a note and not to ever talk about it. All right, so we're going to cut this down and try to do it as close as possible, and give him just a little bit of an edge there to really bring himself out with. And I'm going to see if I'm lined up over here on this side and get as close as possible. It's kind of interesting with it being swoopy at the top and bottom. Maybe I'll leave the top swoopy because that kind of looks like a gravestone. Let's see, will it fit? I have to get 3 of them in here. Okay, let me cut the next 2 and we'll see. I might have to come back in and cut that again though. So yeah, I don't want to talk about things that y'all don't want to hear about. I don't want to gross you out. I mean, we are at Halloween right now. And I've yet to find any good ones to record. I think I have a few things from last year I may have recorded. I know I've got The Birds by Alfred Hitchcock. I love any of these older shows. And, I just watched last night, and I think it's like the 3rd one. Kathy Bates, she played in Titanic and Misery and a few other. I mean, she's a wonderful actress. And she's been in all kinds of different things over the years. But there is a new show out. Now, I used to love to watch Matlock. I loved anything with mystery and law and solving and things like that. So, Murder, She Wrote, she's high on my list. I love Perry Mason. So, of course, when I saw the word Matlock on this new show, I said, what is that? Is it I said, I don't think that's Andy Griffith. That's what I call him. Andy Griffith anymore. I said, I'm wondering who that is. And so it turns out it's Kathy Bates. Now, I don't know if these are going to work. Because, yeah, I got to cut the top off. Rats. Okay. So, yeah, Kathy Bates is on there as a lawyer. Now, I need to try to find the pilot in the first couple. But this was the third one, and she was actually trying a case. So, I don't know how interesting the first two would have been. Maybe just to do like an introduction kind of a thing. So, that looks like it's going to be a good show. Now, I watch Elspeth, too. That's different. She's really different. It's more of a funny show, though. She's a very interesting character. All right, so what we're doing here, and I'm thinking I'm going to have to write the name of who this is out to the side or something. Now I'm going to have to go all the way up there. I don't know where I'm going to be writing what he is. I wonder if in the sticker book there might be a word that I could actually stick on here that's going to be a title, but who knows? Let's see. All right, let's go down here first, or up here. Put him kind of nestled in the corner. I'm going to push him down. The word condemned is out beside him, so not so sure. That was a good place to put that. But since it's for a Halloween book, it might be okay. Just might be okay. All right. And I'm going to set that one down here in this corner. And yeah, try to put him about equal with the guy at the top. And then we're going to put this little guy in the middle. So yeah, I was down there with Mom. We were trying to figure out something with her phone and her pump and everything the other day. And I was trying to work out what I was going to do for my next video. So I knew I wanted to do something for you guys that use these dudes. So I come up with this. It's like, I'm calling it the burial process. Yeah, it'll be the burial process. I don't know if I'm going to need any more glue. I'm going to cap it for now. I did have some skeleton heads I think I was going to use. And yeah, so I can still make out the furnishing. That just almost didn't make it. Make sure I've got all the corners and stuff down. Don't want them to stick up, though they'll be inside. So yeah, the priest, the priest, the Undertaker, and the gravedigger. I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to put their names. I do have space here for two of them, but not for all of them. Okay, I went through the book and I found certain things. I did find Undertaker and Embalmer, and I found spirit merchants. I didn't find priest, but I did find spirit merchant, and I thought maybe I could stick that way up here at the top. And then I really didn't find a gravedigger either, though I was surprised. But I did find a few other things. I did find Undertaker and Embalmer, was buried good and proper, digging the cemetery, someone digging in the ground. So I brought those three out, and we're going to see if those might do the trick for us. And since I couldn't find minister or priest or any of those, I thought a spirit merchant might be the same thing. And then I did find this about bouquets, cut flowers, and funeral designs. And I thought I'd put that in here. So we're going to go ahead and do the Undertaker and Embalmer right here in this next spot down. And I'll put it like right on the black edge at the top, so you know it's for that particular person. That's how you'll know. And then he's not going to have a title. He's just going to have someone digging in the ground. And then these other little phrases we'll put kind of to the side. I still want to dig out my skull that I want to use. And yeah, we'll do it something like that. I did go with some scorched timber over here. And I did go around the outside edges. Not this one, but these other ones to give it some color. You know, it needed to be a little aged. Yeah, I like this one here. And I'll probably put that down here. I don't know. I might put a hat on him. Might be kind of neat with a hat, since I haven't used any of those. So let's push this up, and we'll post a little hat down here with a skeleton head. Oop. Got a little glue on the noses of my tweezers. Here we go. Yeah, kind of crazy looking, isn't it? All right, so we're going to, since I had these flowers and stuff here, and you always have flowers usually at a funeral, I thought this might go in here really well, like that. If I can help it, I'm not going to go across this area here with any of these stickers, because it's not going to work properly. Okay, I think I'll put that down there. There's a lot of sayings in these books, so you can, most times you can like get a really good amount. I'm trying to think where I want this. I guess down here is the best spot. There. Okay, the only one I haven't put down is this dig in the cemetery. And I'm trying to see if I needed to put it up in here somewhere. Undertakers. Maybe I'll just put it under there. It has to do with this guy, the gravedigger at the base down here. So I want to keep it as close to that end as I can. Okay, I think I'm done. I don't think there's anything else in here I can use. I looked into some of my other books. Their words are almost all the same. And I didn't really have anything else in here that I thought would work. This is pretty well packed up in here. I did have a little area here, but I like that spot, so I'm going to leave that the way it is. And we're going to try to fold it. I'm going to go ahead and cap my glue. We're going to try to fold this little guy and see how it's going to work. I don't want to round the corners because I like that corner look there. So let's see if this paper will agree with me. Sometimes you have to kind of train it as you're going in. So there, I'll go ahead and go all the way. And then I'm going to fold it here. So when you unfold this, you'll... Did you see what? It's a good thing it's for my book. It's upside down. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Well, well, what can I say? I have no clue that I even looked on the outside to see which way I was doing it. So, oh well. I think in that case, oh, you know what I could do? Let me try it. Okay, so I made a copy. I know it's not as clear, quite as clear as the other one, but I mean, that's okay. I think you can see it well enough. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn it upside down. Make sure it is the correct size. If it's a little smaller, that's okay. Sometimes my printer doesn't like something that isn't quite the correct size, and I make it try to eat it anyway. I had printed it on this back side, and it turned out a little too small. So I had to go again. And we're going to see what we got. It feels a little wet. And whenever it has to use a lot of black, it's going to be a little more wet than most. But I thought I would show you this in case you ever have a need to troubleshoot and you don't know what to do when you've turned it the wrong way. And I thought it might help you. I make mistakes all the time. I don't mind showing you or laughing about it. It's just, it is what it is. And then you got to think, well, it kind of challenges your brain. What can I do to fix this? Oh, no. I mean, it would have looked too odd if I would have left it with one way and one the other. So we're going to just do this. Now, I was needing a few inks, so that may be why there's some of this. It's not quite looking right. But we're going to go ahead and go over this with some glue stick, and I'm going to do the outside edges with the, and maybe some inside as well, with the Barely Arts glue. I guess I could have put this on here a little straighter, but I didn't. I do hope everybody is doing pretty good today. I know the fall leaves are coming out now, and they said you need to get out in the next week to really see them because they might disappear fast. So I hope that's leading to good spirits and everybody having something beautiful to look at outside their doors. And it's always a happy time of the year when you can see some beautiful colors. And it seems like a lot of the trees have kept their leaves this year. I remember last year a lot of them were kind of bald on top, you know. There wasn't anything left to really make a nice looking full-size tree. So I'm so happy the way it's turned out this year. I know me and Zach thought we were going to see something when we went to West Virginia, but lo and behold, we didn't. It was not happening. And we thought we had picked the right time of the season to go over. You just never know. All right, now I'm going to go over this with my little tool here. Let's see what we can make out of it. I think I only have just a tad on this right side to trim off. And I'm happy with the way the rest of it is. So we're going to put that away and this away. And refold it. And yeah, this edge right here I just need to trim. And get that down. I don't know if I'm needing to do any inking. I may. Let me see once I get this cut off. There we go. And I don't really know that I got to do any inking, to tell you the truth. I think it's fine the way it is. So we're going to make sure it folds. It's still a little wet, but that's okay. Get it in here and get it folded. So, there we go. It almost was a catastrophe, but we fixed it. All right, so we got Mrs. Claybaugh, who died October 22nd, 1887, aged 50 years, 8 months, and 21 days. It's got a pretty little saying, loving friends, weep not for me, I long to be at rest, how happy, happy I shall be, when pillowed on my Savior's breast. Oh, the hope is sweet, that we soon in heaven may meet. There we all shall happy be, rest from pain and sorrow free. That's pretty. That's one of those really old ones. All right. And then we have this side. I didn't hold it up. So we have our preacher or our spirit merchant, the word we had to go with. You have the words condemned, casket company, furnishing undertakers, that kind of thing over here, because that has to do with your undertaker and embalmer. So we have that word here as well, the family mourning, underclothing, dressmaking, they take care of all of that. We have the other word for undertaker, caskets and burial robes, coffins. Then we have about the flowers, which gets down to the grave digger, someone digging in the ground. Was buried good and proper down here, and dig in the cemetery. So I kind of thought that all went together really well. And there's a couple ways you can use it in your book. So let me show you that. All right, if this wasn't 8.5, which is the size of my page here, and I wanted to put it into a side tuck like this, if it was a little shorter, it would fit. You see, it needs to be cut up to that point. But it could fold, or this part could tuck into here, and then this part could be out front where you could actually see it. So that's one of the ways. And then the other way is just to maybe tuck it down into a pocket somewhere. Let's see. This is mine, so I haven't showed it to you yet. I'm trying to find just the right kind of pocket to show it to you on, but I don't think I see it. You could also pin it. That's another way. I didn't think about that. You could actually put it over the edge of a page like this and do a fancy paper clip of some sort and clip it in, which may be what I do since it's so big. But you can see it kind of goes with everything. And then you would just take it off and then figure out what's underneath of it and everything. And then the other way is to tuck it in a pocket. Now, it's going to stick up a little bit because of the height. But other than that, it turned out pretty cool. So, yeah, here you go again. Seeing what I did. And I hope you liked this and got some ideas for it. And if you got some of these crazy people, this might give you an idea of what you can do with them and how to use them. And then I wanted to show you ways to put them into your journal if you're doing one for Halloween or whatever. This could be used for other, like a school journal, like family history journal. That would be kind of cool to have. You wouldn't have to have these. You could do some handwriting and write who this person was and how he was, like great-grandfather or something along those lines. And just make you up like a family history kind of a book using this kind of a layout. All right. I thank you very much for coming by to visit. And I hope you got some ideas today from everything I did and you enjoyed it. And let me know if I need to not say something that, creeps you out. So thank you, all my subscribers and viewers. Have a great day. Bye-bye.